On the dev server, the MICA-EM seemed to be performing much better, doing complete 360s, and was just an overall much better missile. I didn't want to make a video with it on the dev server because I wanted to see if it actually transitioned over to the live server, and I actually think it might have. Now, in the changelogs, it doesn't really list any changes for the MICA-EM, so I can't really tell you if it actually has changed, but I will say in testing it, the MICA-EM might be one of the better dogfight missiles we have in the game now. I would still personally take the R73 because you don't have to mess around with trying to get a radar lock with the R73, and that is a big hindrance with the MICA. Sometimes you're spamming your HMS to get a lock, but the MICA seems to pull really hard again. And honestly, instead of spinning out like it used to, it actually seems like it wants to track for at least the majority of the missiles. And it seems in just the last, the big hindrance is that the last little bit of pull that it needs, it doesn't seem to achieve. And I think that's just, because it's over pulling to achieve the target, and it's ended up slipping behind or underneath the aircraft. So, but it's still a very impressive missile. Now, the MICA does still, to me, be one of the mid-BVR missiles in War Thunder, as its range is not that of like what the AIM-120 or even the R77-1 is. But in dogfights, holy cow, it's up there with the R73 again. I will say that, when comparing it to how it would play in an actual ARB, I'm not too confident in its capabilities still. I have been told it's one of the best missiles in ARB, but my experience with it is that it's more lackluster. The Rafale is also an aircraft that I personally don't necessarily like in ARB, but I know it is a good platform, don't get me wrong. I think one of the more impressive things about the Rafale, at least in terms of dogfight capabilities, is the fact that you can carry the MICA-EM and the Magic II. And the Magic II is a very impressive missile for these dogfights. Now, the MICA, like I said earlier, the hindrance it has is it needs that radar lock. And the radar does not like to lock the majority of the time. If you're running chaff, you can chaff the MICA in this, or chaff the radar on the Rafale pretty easily in these close quarter dogfights. So if you're looking for, a dogfight missile that's reliable, the R73 I still would say is the go-to. But I don't know. I've only been testing this for a day now, and the MICA is pulling these insane AOA shots. It doesn't want to seem to hit them. At least it doesn't want to hit the last stretch, but it is pulling really well and actually going to the target. So I think we'll have to wait and see. I am curious to see how they want to, once we get the 9X and the IRS-T on aircraft, how those are going to perform compared to, especially even like the MICA-IR, how those are going to compare to what we have already with the R73 and the MICA-EM, because already it's, pull really hard to shoot your missiles, see if you hit or not, and it really is, that really is how it's going to be for a while, especially once we get those other more modern missiles. So, in comparison to how they were in the past, I think the big pro that I've seen with them is they actually, for the most part, will actually pull towards the target. Now, I have found at incredibly low speeds, they will still kind of do the fish pull, and they'll kind of just spin out. But at the, when you're not at too intense of slow speeds and actually have a good lock, they will track, or they will at least go in the direction they have to. Whereas they used to just spin out a little bit. I think another really nice thing that the MICA has is, in comparison to the R73, at least in terms of like actual ARB, is you're still a good missile for actual gameplay, at least at long ranges. Whereas in the R73 is only a good close range missile. The MICA will do what it needs to do at long ranges and at close ranges. And it does seem to be way more reliable than the R73 at incredibly high AOA. Anyways, let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. Do you think the MICA-EM is one of the best dogfight missiles in the game? Or do you think it's still second to the R73? Let me know your thoughts down below. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And I hope to see you guys in a later video.